You are about to watch a video that might completely change the way you shop for bread in America. And I'm not exaggerating, because today we're doing something most people are afraid to do. We're putting cheap grocery store bread head-to-head against expensive artisan bread. And the results are shocking. I mean, genuinely shocking. If you've ever stood in the bread aisle staring at a loaf that costs $8, $9, even $10 and thought it must be better because it's expensive, this video is for you. Because what I'm about to show you proves that price does not equal quality, and sometimes the cheapest options are actually the smartest, tastiest, and most practical choices you can make. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might never buy artisan bread again. Let's get one thing straight right away. Artisan bread has a reputation. People think it's healthier, more flavorful, more real. They picture bakers waking up at 4 a.m., hand-shaping dough, slow fermentation, stone ovens, all that romantic stuff. And yes, real artisan bread from a small bakery can be amazing, but that's not what most people are buying. Most Americans are buying artisan-style bread from grocery stores, and that's where the illusion begins. These loaves look rustic. They have fancy labels, words like handcrafted, old world, European style, slow baked. And then you look at the price tag, $8, $9, sometimes more, and you think, okay, this must be better than the cheap stuff. But is it really? I tested it. I compared flavor, texture, versatility, and value. Sandwiches, toast, grilled cheese, plain slices with butter, and what I discovered honestly caught me off guard. Let's start with the cheapest one on this list, the bread everyone loves to hate but secretly buys all the time. Great value white sandwich bread from Walmart. This loaf costs about $1.48. That's it, less than $2. Most people expect it to be bland, overly soft, maybe even fake. But here's the truth. This bread does exactly what bread is supposed to do. It's soft but not mushy, it has a mild, comforting flavor, it toasts evenly, it holds peanut butter, jelly, ham, cheese, mayo, whatever you throw at it. And when you compare it directly to expensive grocery store artisan white bread, something weird happens. The artisan bread is often dry or too dense, where the crust is so hard it scratches the roof of your mouth. Meanwhile, this cheap bread just works. It's reliable, it's familiar, and for everyday eating, it actually tastes better to most people. Food testers have ranked it surprisingly high for a budget option, and after tasting it side by side, I understand why. You're not paying for a story, you're paying for function, and that function delivers. Now let's step up slightly in price, but still stay firmly in the cheap category. Nature's Own thick-sliced white bread, which usually costs around $2.97. This bread is interesting because it sits right in the middle. It's not dirt cheap, but it's still way cheaper than artisan bread. And the moment you pick it up, you notice the slices are thicker, heavier, more substantial. When you make a sandwich with this bread, it feels like a real sandwich, not floppy, not weak. And in blind taste tests, this bread consistently beats out more expensive competitors. The flavor is balanced, not overly sweet, not bland, and here's the key difference: it holds up. When you load it with fillings, it doesn't fall apart. I compared it directly with a grocery store artisan loaf that cost over $8, and the expensive one collapsed under moisture. The Nature's Own slice stayed intact. That's a big deal, because bread isn't just about eating it plain, it's about how it performs, and in real-world use, this cheap bread wins. Next up is a brand almost every American recognizes, Sara Lee Classic White Bread. This loaf usually costs around $3.47, depending on the store. Sara Lee has been around forever, and sometimes familiarity makes people overlook it, but that's a mistake. This bread is incredibly consistent. Soft texture, clean flavor, excellent toast. When you toast it, you get that golden crunch on the outside while the inside stays fluffy. When you make grilled cheese, it browns beautifully without burning. And when you compare it to artisan bread, something becomes very clear. A lot of artisan loaves have personality, but they lack versatility. They're good for dipping in olive oil maybe, but for daily meals, Sara Lee does more. It adapts. And in taste tests, it often ranks near the top, even compared to pricier brands. You're not paying for hype, you're paying for something that works every single time. And again, it costs less than half of what many artisan breads cost. Now let's talk about a bread that surprises people the most when it shows up on a list like this: Dave's Killer Bread. Yes, it's more expensive than the other cheap breads, usually around $4.99, sometimes a little more depending on the store. But here's the key: it's still significantly cheaper than most artisan breads. And what you get for that price is impressive. This bread is organic, whole grain, packed with seeds and grains. The texture is hearty, the flavor is deep and nutty. When you bite into it, you actually feel satisfied. And when you compare it to a $9 artisan loaf, Dave's often wins on substance alone. Many artisan breads are white flour dressed up with a crust. Dave's gives you fiber, protein, chew, and flavor. Toast it and it becomes crunchy and rich. Use it for avocado toast, and you don't even need much topping because the bread itself has character. This is the perfect example of a bread that proves cheap doesn't mean low quality. It means smart value. And finally, let's talk about a true classic that flies under the radar: Sunbeam bread. Depending on the variety in store, this loaf costs between $1.99 and $2.99. Sunbeam is pure nostalgia, soft, pillowy, comforting. And yes, it's basic, but basic isn't bad. In fact, when compared to expensive artisan bread, Sunbeam often comes out ahead simply because it delivers what people actually want: a soft sandwich, a comforting piece of toast, a perfect grilled cheese. Many artisan breads fail here because they try too hard, too thick, too crusty, too dry. Sunbeam doesn't pretend to be anything else, and that honesty is exactly why it works. So let's stop for a second and really think about what just happened. We looked at 5 cheap breads that most Americans can find easily in Walmart, Target, Kroger, Publix, Safeway, or local grocery stores. Prices ranging from about $1.50 to just under $5. And every single one of them competed with or outright beat expensive grocery store artisan bread in at least one major category: taste, texture, versatility, or value. And that raises an uncomfortable question: why are so many people overpaying for bread? The answer is marketing, labels, packaging, the illusion of luxury. We've been trained to believe that if something costs more, it must be better. But food doesn't work that way, especially bread, especially mass-produced artisan-style bread that's still coming from a factory. Here's the reality. Most people eat bread for sandwiches, toast, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everyday food. And for everyday food, these cheaper options simply make more sense. They taste good, they work, and they don't punish your wallet. So the next time you're standing in the bread aisle and you see that beautiful, rustic loaf with the $8 price tag, ask yourself one question: is it actually better, or does it just look better? Because as you've seen today, cheaper bread doesn't mean worse bread. Sometimes it means smarter bread. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. If this video made you rethink what you buy at the grocery store, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments which cheap bread you swear by. And if you want more videos exposing overpriced grocery items and proving that cheaper is often better, stay tuned, because this is just the beginning.